So today we are going to talk about, Sandra, are you going to do this lesson or are you just going to work on your own thing?
I'm doing a bird.
Okay, great. So
but I'm going to listen to you because it's always useful.
Right. Feel free to send it in as you're working on it.
I'm drawing it from scratch.
I'm so glad. That's awesome. So that's really awesome. So today, because we're in beginning basics, like John and Emily, I don't know how much experience you have. Are you total beginners or have you done any poking around with art?
I've taken some watercolor classes, not much.
I'm about as beginner as you get.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent.
With acrylic, for sure, total beginner.
Excellent. Okay, so this month we're basically, as we're working on painting.
By the way, guys, it's snowing. It's snowing.
Look at
I don't know if you can tell.
Backyard. It's beautiful. One day we're gonna have to paint that. It's beautiful. Also, animals make a big, John and Emily, if you have an animal, yes, Sandra has 3 fantastic Bengals and they are always making appearances. It's okay, we like to get to know each other and our animals. So we're working with simple shapes this month, and essentially last week we just worked on drawing. We didn't really do much. We did a little bit with painting, but I had everybody pick their own colors as they were going through and drawing these things. This week, I'm gonna have us draw a simple still life, and we're gonna actually stay in grays. So I'm gonna talk to you about how to mix your own gray and what colors we use for that. And so when you start to paint, we're gonna draw this first. And then when we're ready to paint it, I'm gonna talk you through like mixing colors. So at the end, we should have something that looks a little bit like this. Tosh, I'd love it if you would use acrylic or oil this time, not gouache, or unless you don't have any. Do you have acrylic?
I do. I just haven't gotten them out. I got a gouache out. So you
want me to... I think you'll want to do this one in acrylic just to see the difference between gouache and watercolor. Yeah, okay. So let me spotlight here. Okay, so this is just a very quick reminder. We worked on this last week. These are the 5 shapes which show up in pretty much all of our drawings. And what you can see is that if the light is kind of coming from the top left, which it is on every drawing except for this one here, this cube here, you'll see that as an object turns away from the light, it gets gradually darker. So we're practicing what we call creating values. Values is the lightness or darkness of any color. I like to think of them on a scale of 1 to 5. So if 1 is like white, 5 is dark, 2, 3, 4. 2, right, kind of gradually gets it's a little bit darker. 3 is kind of a medium tone. 4 is starting to get dark, but you can see there's actually a gradation between these from light to dark, right? The 1 and the 5 we consider a classic dark and light. These 2, 3s, and 4s are what we call half tones. They're kind of between light and dark. And it's very often easiest to see the darks and the lights first. If you look here, I'm gonna bring this up here just so you guys can see it. If you look here with this sphere, you'll see that as the light hits its light, and then as it turns away, it gets to be about a half tone, like a 3, which gradually gets into a 4. And then right before it turns around, there's a little bit of a 2 there. That's that usually what's happening is, although the main light source is coming from here, there's usually another light source which is bouncing off the edge of the dark side, and it creates this little edge here. You can see there's a cast shadow here, right? And then there's the wall, right? So the cast shadow is usually the darkest. The cast shadow and the direction of it also tend to show you where the light's going. So we're going to start by actually just in pencil on your canvases, sketching out these 3 shapes. So let's do a couple of things first. I'm going to show you kind of where things are in relation to each other. So definitely the thing that's down lowest on the canvas I'm drawing this little kind of box. So you can see that the thing that's down lowest is the cube. And then we go to the, and then you can see that up a little bit higher is the sphere. And in the back is this cylinder. So Tosh, we were talking about this, right? What is the easiest way when you're drawing something to start it? And the easiest way to start it is to start with the thing that's in front. So I'm actually going to start, just trying to get everything in here. I'm going to go it back. There we go. I'm going to actually start by sketching. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to start by sketching this line of my cube, kind of on the right side here. Oops. I don't want to stay in there. Here we go. Right. Just a straight line down. And then you can see that these angles go off on either side. Draw the angles so you can see them. I want you to notice that these are not exactly parallel, meaning this is not the same angle as this. The bottom angles are a little bit steeper. So I'm going to draw something back like that. And then a little bit kind of steeper like this. So you notice how these, if I were to compare them, they're not exactly, this one is a little bit kind of going up a little bit farther. It has to do with perspective. I'm not going to bend your mind with that right now, but we will talk about it. So if this top line is going at this angle, this bottom line is going not so steeply up. It's going a little bit down. This top line, sorry, this bottom line is going steep. This top line is a little bit flatter. The same here. It's still angled, but it's not as angled. If you want to, you can kind of test this by, if I hold my pencil straight like this, I can see that this angle is not as, and I hold my arm straight, I come up like this, I can see that my angle is not as straight. That has to do with perspective. And then these are straight lines. And if you're feeling like, oh my God, this is so hard, that's all right. Drawing cubes is super hard. Is like, this is the simple shapes are like the most kind of profound, I think.
Yeah, it looks simple, but it isn't.
It's particularly a cube, right? It's kind of ridiculous. And then you'll notice the top here. Sorry, let me get these down here. Just like this. It's so hard. You'll notice that if I get these top lines in, they kind of meet in the center. This line angles this way. On the right, the angles up, a little bit up to the right. This line angles to the left, and they kind of meet here. But notice it's real easy to make this go up like this, right? So what you want to do is make your angles, instead of making your angles up like a diamond, you're gonna want to make them a little bit more angled down. And once we have this cube, it kind of helps us figure out where everything else is. Why don't we start with the cylinder? Why doesn't it make sense to start with the cylinder?
cube is easier, presumably because it's got hard, square.
It's in the front. I think it's in the front.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking actually as I was doing this, Sandra, that maybe I should have started with the sphere, but we will continue on. Okay.
To confirm, you see the side that has the shadow, the front square, the side that has the shadow with the circle. Is that the same length as the darker side and the other side, or is it a little bit shorter?
This, you mean?
Yeah.
This side, is it the same length?
Well, the other way around. The width. Is it the same?
It the same as the length?
Yeah.
Yeah, seems to be.
And on the other, the same. So they're all the same.
Seems about the same. So this one is a little shorter.
It is.
So this side's a little bit longer.
Okay.
Then this side's longer, this side's shorter. John and Emily, don't worry about that too much in this one. But Tosh, good question for you to ask. A very good question for you to ask. Oh yeah. I might make mine a little bit shorter. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter. All right. So, and then I'll send a picture of this over, and you guys can send me a picture of your cube. You've got it in here. Hey, Joe, nice to see you. We're drawing cubes. We're doing a still life with simple shapes. You just go ahead and draw this cube. It's okay if you don't get it exactly right, but as close as you can. It's also okay. So Joe, we're going to be doing a grayscale painting today.
All right, sounds good. In
oil or acrylic, depending on what you're using. Is there anybody who's using oil today?
Yes, I am.
You are.
Yeah. I should pull out acrylic just because I have a bunch of it that needs to be
used. Don't even bother. We know with you that acrylic is not the way to go. Go with oil. I think you've been having a lot more success with that. Acrylic and oil aren't the same, but they apply kind of similar, which is why it's kind of nice to use it. So go ahead when you guys have a cube, you feel like you've got your cube, let me know when you're ready to go on. Sandra, if you want to, go ahead and send over what you're working on.
Ish, I'm in trouble already.
That is exactly how I felt about my painting this morning. I don't feel any better. Uh-oh, in trouble already. Let's see. Okay, yeah, John and Emily, and you could take a picture of your, I'm going to add the spotlight. Hold it up again. You can take hold it up again. Hello, sun in the background. Oh, perfect. Great. Looks great. You can also send it across the thread that Emily, you just joined. You can take a picture and send it across. Ah, yes, just like that. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. Emily, you might want to bring this down a little bit so it's coming a little bit high on this side. So try bringing it down just a little bit. This side, see on yours, coming just a little bit higher on this side. Bring it down and it'll feel, here's the thing about what's happening here, right? We know these, intellectually, we know these sides are all the same size, but they don't look the same size because of perspective. So this seems smaller, even though it's the same size. You notice Tosh Ween was asking me, which one of these, sorry, I'll take you guys off spotlight. Oh, also, I really like your I like your covering, table covering. That's really nice. I like it. All right, excellent. So we do know that the sphere, if I'm to draw a line across like this, I know I'm kind of bisecting things in a weird way, but you can see that if I draw a line straight across, the sphere sort of starts here and it ends about here, right? As in top and bottom. So when I come over here to draw the sphere, I want to make sure that the sphere doesn't go lower. And then it's just literally a circle. The key is to leave a little bit of space here between the two. Yeah, maybe a sphere is easier to draw. I don't know. I feel like cubes are way harder to draw. Oops, sorry. You guys did not get to see that at all. Here we go. So you're gonna line up the top of your sphere, kind of lines up with just below the top of the cube. The bottom of your sphere, if you were to line it up, kind of starts about here. So if you were to draw these lines. So Tosh, you remember how we were talking about this? Just, I think our sort of instinct is to maybe start, sometimes you can start with like the tall vertical, but if in this case, the tall vertical is in the background, it's not as helpful to sketch it first. It's almost always helpful to sketch the thing that's in front first. Yeah, there you go. Looks great. Perfect, Emily. Perfect. And if you want to, you can even sketch in these lines. You don't have to. But if they help you kind of show you that like this is kind of angled up from here, that's really great. Let me take a picture of this. We're going to make sure there's a little bit of space between. Yeah, Emily, that looks good. You know, although you could bring your sphere a little bit closer. Scoot it a little bit this way, because if you look at this shape in the middle, we're kind of trying to create this shape in the middle. It's so funny, when you're starting to draw, you're bisecting things in weird ways, right? So this is a term we call negative space. It's the space between the subjects. So you want that shape. In fact, I'm going to scoot mine a little bit closer too, just to show you. As I drew that in, I'm like, hey, don't do what I say. So see, I'm going to scoot mine just a little bit in. Erase that. Maybe make it a little bit narrower on this side. One of the things that you quickly learn to do with art is that it's real easy to get things in the wrong places, to make things too big or too small. That is totally okay. So I don't know, I think I just demonstrated for you on how to do that. So I've got this kind of skinny little space in here when I start to draw my cylinder. And the reason I'm being kind of, anal is not the word. Yeah, Tosh, that looks great. Double checking. You can see that your sphere, you might want to bring your cylinder up a little bit. Make it a little bit higher if you see this. If I double the size of my sphere, that's the top of the cylinder.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. I mean, we're not entirely being, I didn't have you really measure the, so you can see Tosh, we went ahead and started sketching in the shadows as well, which is exactly what we're going for this shoot. I hope that I have not.
Done, Emily. It's only because I've done this a few times this week. So
This week?
I would not have to do it.
That's entirely true. And then the last shape we'll do, we're gonna, if you notice here, I'm taking my fingers and marking the top and bottom of the suit, and I'm just going straight up. And this is the top. So this is where the top of the, if you can see here, the cylinder, the top of the cylinder is basically twice the size, the height of the sphere. So I can just come up here and locate kind of the top here. And then I'll start with this kind of narrow oval. Already telling you, and then I'll bring a line straight down on either side. And then I've already got this little line here. It's real easy to make this too wide. But you know what? I'm not going to talk to you about that today. Let's make perspective another day. How's that? All right. Yeah. Yep. And then we're going to sketch in really the medium kind of starts here. It gets darker here. There's a little reflected edge. We'll sketch in these shadow shapes as well. So I can come in here. There's a really cool shadow. There's two shadows with this sphere, which I think are kind of neat. One kind of comes around the edge of the cube, the other comes right into it. And here. Dark, there'll be a reflected edge here. Reflected, this is a very controlled area. And then there's the table, which is here on either side. It's dark at the bottom. I'm sorry, you guys can't see that. Here, let me do this instead. Now let me do this. Let me see it. There we go. And then you can see here. Sorry, nothing wants to stay up today. This kind of goes up this way. This goes up this way. So we're kind of ending up with something that looks like this. Okay, so what do you guys have? That looks great, Tosh. Perfect. Perfect. The shadow down here is almost straight, but slightly curved up. It kind of slightly, so maybe. So see here, there's room, Tosh, for this going at a slant. So there's a little triangle here of light.
Yeah.
And this kind of curves up. There's not really, you don't really have room for that right now. So you want to add in here. So this doesn't go straight across. It kind of curves up a little bit, slightly slants up. There we are. Not to be annoyingly, not to be that guy.
That's why we come to class, for you to be that.
To be that guy. Right? We might as well start kind of talking about structure as we're going along. Once we've done that, we're going to have a little talk about materials. Oh, having said, I'll be right. Oh, wait. And once we've got this, this is palette paper. So Emily, I forgot, are you guys working in acrylic or oil? Are you guys working acrylic or oil?
Acrylic.
Great. Okay, so really all you need is a plastic like plate. You have like a, you know, yeah, like those, you can use those, and then you'll want to get this stuff.
Oh, I love it. It's so cool.
Already, right? Take a picture of it, send it across, you guys. Let's see it.
This one's John.
Nice. Oh, great. Yeah. Success already. That's nice, isn't it? Everybody else kind of, Joe, are you ready to, great, Emily. Excellent, you guys, great work. Actually, before we do anything more, let's talk about value a little bit before I start talking about colors. I'll wait for everybody else to send theirs in, and in the meantime, I'll talk about value. So let's talk about value. This is a 1, this is a 1, this is a 1, this is a 1, this is a 1. Oh, whoops, notice I totally wrote 2 there. That's a 1, right? Everything else, this is like 2, 2, 3, and then this little edge. You can't really see it here too much, but we're going to put it in anyway. 2, that little edge. 3, 2, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, then maybe 2. So can everybody see this little map of values? I'll take a picture of it. You don't have to write this down, but it helps, almost like a paint by number. Yeah, that looks great. To see the values. Here, wait. Look. Pull this down. Oh, Thank you, Tosh. You're the best. Cassia is a new old student, but I think the last time she was in class was like in the beginning of 2020. So she might never have gotten recorded. Yeah. I'll send you over her last name. I appreciate that. Okay. So we have our little map here. I'll put this here. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about materials. So acrylic and oil are applied very similarly. I'm going to demonstrate in oil because almost all my other classes work in acrylic. So there's a couple of things that you need in oil that you do not need in acrylic, but are good to know. One of those things is Gamsol. It's like a turpentine alcohol solvent. I love Gamsol. Gamsol is a Portland product. So turpentine, which is an alcohol or a mineral spirit, is a little bit toxic. There's a lot of things in paint. Gamsol is not. It's odorless, and it is, yes, Gamsol, so all the Gamblin products, they work hard to make the least toxic materials on the planet. They are kind of known for that. They happen to be a kind of, a medium-sized company based here in Portland. The husband and wife who run it, Robert and Carolyn, what's her last name, first name? The Gamblins are really great, super active, both painters themselves. Everybody who works for them is a painter. And they spend a lot of time making products. So if I smell it, you'll see there's no smell to it. And we use this for two things. We use this for cleaning our brushes, and we use it to kind of put our first layers on, because oil dries slowly. But if we layer our first layer with Gamsol, it'll dry in like 10 minutes. So the equivalent for those of you using acrylic is water. You're just going to have a jar of water, and that's what you're going to be using. The other thing that's really awesome about oil painting, as we get into kind of top layers, I'm going to be mostly just using paint, but I might also use a little Galkid light to make my paint a little bit runnier. I think most of the time you're going to be wanting to work in just paint to make it a little bit more liquid. You could use, I particularly like Galkid light, which is another Gamblin product, because it makes things dry a little faster. If I'm working in oil, it means my oil might dry in 1 or 2 days rather than 1 or 3. Those of you working in acrylic do not have this problem at all, because your paint will dry in 10 minutes, right? So you're going to see as we start to apply this exercise that there are some advantages and disadvantages to each method, each type of paint. At points, you're going to be like, damn it, I wish I was using oil. And at points, you're going to be like, I wish I was using acrylic. It would be so much easier. So for oil, we're using Galkid light. At the end of each session, there'll be some kind of dirty liquid kind of in here, right? I store that in glass jars and eventually make a run to the, I do not put this down the sink. Eventually, I will make a run to the hazardous waste facility and, dispose of it properly. Right now I have 8 jars full of like Galkid and Gamsol and like mess. They look terrible. I'll show you one later on.
You like this big? I imagine they're like
yeah, they're just huge because I'd never get around to doing it, but like eventually I will. So that is the beginning. The paint colors will be exactly the same. So today, you'll notice that this is so does anybody have questions about that? So those of you who are using acrylic, you're just going to use water. Those of you using oil will start with Gamsol, and then we'll just use this, and then just go to straight paint. We'll just use this to clean our brushes. It's nice to have, regardless of whether you're working in oil and acrylic, what I like to call my handy blankie. That is just a paper towel, so you can scrub off things if they get too dark and heavy too quickly. You can do that for oil and acrylic. Today, as you can see, this is a grayscale painting. I want you are not going to use black and white to mix grays. I'm going to teach you how to mix grays from complements, from your basic color mixes. And to do that, we're going to need to talk a little bit about basic color theory. So does anybody know what primary colors are? Do you know what the primary colors are? What are they? If you know them, shout them out.
Red, yellow, and blue.
Yes. So from these colors, everything is made. We can mix everything. And so I'm going to put a little blue here on my palette. So this is kind of murky. This is a very old, if you can see, I should probably peel off all the extra paint. Anyway, go ahead and give yourself a little bit of blue. This is, I can see the color. The light is not fantastic in here, so I'll take a picture of this so you guys can see the color. The color I'm using is ultramarine blue. It's a good mixing color. Kind of over here, I'm going to make a little triangle with the other colors. This is a quinacridone red. And then yellow, yellow, yellow. What yellow am I going to use? I don't know what this is. Oh, that's Naples yellow. Okay, don't want to use that. If you have a cadmium yellow, that will work. You can also use a lemon yellow for this next stage. Nope. I've got a lemon yellow here. You could also use a cadmium. There we go. So you go ahead and lay them in a little triangle like that. And then if you've got, interesting, I usually have a palette knife laying, oh wait, there it is. Let's measure a bunch of other things. Usually have a palette knife laying around here somewhere. I don't seem to have one today. Right, I'm just going to use this little ruler as a palette knife. Let me see. Hold on, I've got to have a palette
Now
knife.
I know why your rulers are dirty.
Yeah. Usually it's from using it to draw lines on my using paint.
Yes.
Totally. I can't believe it. I cannot find it. Wait, there's gotta be one. Oh, wait, here it is. Here it is. All right, here we go. All right. So a palette knife kind of looks like this. You can use one for acrylic or oil. You don't want to mix them up. So once you have your materials, you're going to want to use them. So if you have a palette knife, you can do that. Use this. If you don't, you can use a ruler, or no, you can just use a little brush if you want to mix colors. So busted. I'm so busted. So notice the secondary colors. If I mix yellow and red together, I get orange. Once I've done that, I'll take my blankie and clean off the paint on the brush. So whether you're using oil or acrylic, you want to do that. If I mix blue and yellow together, I get what color?
Green.
Green. It's a very cool green because I'm using a super cool yellow. Green. And then if I mix red and blue together, I get purple. So you notice as I'm pulling these colors, so we set these colors up in a very particular way, right? As I lay them down, I lay these three in a triangle. This makes a circle, which is a basic color circle, you know, a color wheel. So you might want to have something similar. So those of you who are using acrylic are going to quickly notice that while I'm slowly talking about all of this stuff, your paint is drying. My oil paint is not. Oil paint takes a couple of days to dry. Acrylic takes a few minutes to dry. So one of the things you'll find that you need to do with acrylic is kind of constantly be mixing colors. So this is your basic color wheel. The secret to mixing grays is to observe what is across, what are the colors that are across the color wheel. They make 3 pairs. There is blue and orange. There is red and green. There is purple and yellow. So these 3 pairs, purple, yellow. So by the way, primaries are red, blue, and yellow. Secondaries are green, orange, and purple. Yes.
I happen to have one of these. Do you want me to take a photo and send it across?
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
Okay.
This is a really simplified version of what Sandra's about to send over. What she's got has got, like, you'll as you notice,
2 sides.
It's warms and cold, right? It has like there's all kinds of different reds, all kinds of different yellows, all kinds of different blues that make all kinds of different colors. So yeah, if you want a more complex version, see it, that's what is happening. Please do. That would be great. Purple, yellow, blue, orange, red, green. These are the complementary colors, color pairs, and they are hugely important in painting. They may seem familiar to you. You've probably, you've probably seen them before. A lot of high school or college colors are complementary colors. Because when you put complementary colors next to each other, they pop. So here, I'm just going to take a little brush to show you what I mean. If I put orange, oh, for heaven's sakes, okay, bring that up in a second, next to blue, they look very bright next to each other. They look very like they pop each other forward. So if you want to like show numbers on a sports jersey, it's excellent to pick complementary colors, right? They pop, they do what we call popping each other forward. It's the same with red and green, right? You put them next to each, Christmas colors, right? You put them next to each other, they pop. The same with purple and yellow. If you put them next to each other, they pop. The purple and yellow is already demonstrating. However, when you mix them together, they make a gray. They make different grays. They make grays, what kind of different grays? See that? They make grays when you mix them together. Notice that this one on this gray that I'm just trying to put together over here is a little bit red because I didn't have enough green. So I mixed more green to put it in. Now I've got kind of more of a gray color. Still a little bit of red popping through there. So I'm mixing more blue and yellow. I'll put that in. Now I've got a gray. So I got 3 different grays. And if I really want to see how these grays look, I can add a little white to them. I'll put some white up here. So black is mostly banned from this class. We don't need it. We're going to mix it. Not because black isn't great. Black is a wonderful color. But we can make black from mixing. Look what happens when I add these whites to it. White to it. It kind of creates a kind of lighter gray. You can really see the gray come out. Kind of neat, isn't it? So go ahead and experiment with that a little bit. I'll take a picture, mixing your grays. Oh, that's tremendous, Amber. Thank you. Love it. Here, I'm gonna take this down for just a second so I can take a picture of it. My very handmade, let's put it that way, color wheel. This is a very professional one that like Sandra sent over. Well, we made this one ourselves, so. Go ahead and spend a minute doing that. I will be right back, you guys. I have to go checking my little guy who's outside. Sandra, you'll absolutely love this. I've hired a little girl to come and play with Hermes for 45 minutes to an hour. Oh, is she off feeding the cats? I'll tell her when she gets back. So how's that going, you guys? Tell me. If you're having trouble, take a picture, send it over. If you're having success, take a picture, send it over.
Ours is turning more like greens and browns.
Then you need more of the other color in. So if you have too much, so try adding more of the opposite color. So if it's turning more brown, it just depends on what color what are the two colors you're mixing that's turning brown?
Well, the yellow purple turned to more green, and the red green turned more brown.
So, okay, so what's happening with yellow purple is you have too much yellow and blue and not enough red. So mix a bit of red in there. Nice, Tosh. They're so fun, aren't they? It's so pretty. The red green turned what color?
More like a brown.
Brown. So too much red, you need a little bit more blue and yellow. Try blue at first. It's tricky, right? Because you're mixing you have to mix the secondaries, which you might not get the balance just right? It might look too, so take a look at your secondary and see, does my secondary purple look too red or too blue? Then I need to balance it out with a little bit of red. Does my green look too yellow or too, blue? I need a little bit, let me balance that out. So there's two points at which the mixing could go awry. And that's why we're just totally focusing on grays. Because once you kind of lock this down, so Tashmina's done this like now, I don't know, 4 times this week with watercolor. Watercolor, with gouache, with pastels, I don't know. Now working with acrylic. So if your colors are not working, one of the 3 colors is out of balance. Is that working a little bit better, Emily?
No.
Why don't you send me a picture so I can see? Okay. And then I will tell you.
Let's see if I can get this to capture the color.
And take a picture of the colors that you're mixing in. I think also the problem is, have you added any white into these?
I added a little bit of white, not much.
You know, I think part of the problem is you're hampered in your mixing by these little dishes. So I would go get a flat surface where you can kind of move things around a little bit more. Because what's happening is you've dumped a bunch of color in, and now it's like a black, what do you call it? It's like a quicksand. It just, you keep dumping it in and it kind of sucks it all in and stays the same color. What you want to be able to do is take a little bit of your mixed color like this. So say you're having problem, and this is okay, by the way, this is why we're spending all this time doing it. So say you've mixed something and you're like, oh, that looks way too purple, right? Instead of taking more yellow and putting it in here, you might take a scoop of this over here. You might take just a little bit of the color over here and then try adding yellow to that, right? So you're not putting in, so just take a little piece of your big mix, put it into another pot, or give yourself a flat surface where you can move around. You can move away from your original pile of color.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and don't worry, this is absolutely why, this is why we do this. Mixing is not intuitive. I think our idea of mixing, our standard idea of mixing is I take a glop of, I take half of this and I take half of this and I mix them together, right? That doesn't really work so well. In fact, what I've got is one color usually dominates over the other. Oops, here, let me pull this down a little bit. And then it's very hard for me to shift because I've got so much paint in there already. If I try to shift it, I try to add more blue. Look at what's happening here. I've got too much color in there already. So it's hard to really make that shift. So if you want to kind of experiment with little bits of one color, more of the other. I was noticing this is way too red. So I took a little bit of the red blue mix, put it over here, and now I'm adding blue to that. And that looks much more like the traditional purple I'm thinking of. See that, as opposed to this one, which is kind of more mauvey red, right? It's kind of more pinky. I could even maybe take a little bit of this and move it in here. Red is a really powerful color.
Yeah.
So is blue, right? So a little bit less goes a long way. I love it. You're like, yeah.
Sure is.
Yeah, it really is. It's really troublesome. I myself am going to go grab. I don't happen to have. I thought I did. I'm gonna go grab my cadmium yellow because I'd actually prefer that. In this.
No, I'm just like,
Yeah.
total fuck yeah. Looks like baby puke.
Just to introduce you to how crazily different it can get, this is, oh, it's so oily, it's like actually slipping down the page. Come on, you, get back in there. This is cadmium yellow medium. And this is the yellow that I first started with, which is cad yellow light, or lemon yellow. Look at the difference between these two. It's absurd. They're almost like completely different. I mean, they're really, although they are both
Which one
yellow.
is the one to the right?
The one to the right, this one is cad yellow medium.
But
make a
cads
better
are
orange.
Cad's more on the orange side.
cads are more toxic, aren't they?
Yes, as far as colors go, yes. Although I feel like, yes, that is true. Although I don't think like, you know, I think they've made paints a lot safer than they used to be, but yes, they're definitely,
Yes, I think you're probably right.
right. Like it's not like, but I was reading about zinc white. Oh my God, zinc white just basically killed every artist. Or lead white or something like that. It was zinc white. It was like lead white was what was used, and it was absolutely terrible. Look at the difference though. So this is lemon yellow. That's cadmium yellow. That's going to make very different things. This moves into a question of warm and cool, and I don't want you guys to have to worry about that this week because there's a lot going on in this lesson, just in terms of learning how to mix. But look at the difference between that yellow and this one when I mix these, that gray and this one when I mix them. So one of the things you'll learn, and we're going to play with today, is this idea of how much things shift. You get to sort of choose your grays. Let's put it that way. You're going to mix the grays that you like the best using these, and the only sort of challenge is I want you to use these color pairings. So there's like a kind of gray with cadmium yellow. Here's a gray with the radiant, the lemon yellow. Yeah, different. This goes into something we'll generally refer to as warm or cool. Can anybody guess which of these yellows is the cooler one? Which is the cooler one? Would you guess?
Light.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is almost orange.
Yeah.
It's got a lot more red in it, so it's warmer. This has less red and more like kind of yellow and white in it, so it's cooler. You could tell it. When you look at it, you can kind of see this is the sort of center of the fire. This is those kind of warm flames that kind of go around the outside. Okay, so how's it going, you guys? Getting a little bit better?
Mixing with a palette knife is clumsy.
It is. That's why I tend to use a brush, but I don't think that's a really good way to use it because it's hard to keep all the different colors off the brush.
Yeah, you always have to wash it off.
It's easier to clean off a palette knife, but it's true. I tend not to gravitate towards the palette knife. I'm kind of an impatient painter, so I will often just I'll rinse my brush in Gamsol, squeeze it out with my blankie, and then make another, do another mix. But that's a lot of steps. So it helps to just be able to go, whoop, get all that off. Start again. When you think you have a gray you like, send me a picture of it. Sandra, I was going to tell you, you're going to love this. I've hired a neighbor girl to come over and play with Hermes for 45 minutes to an hour.
Where my dragon grew up, the lady, actually I'm friends with her now in Ohio, who actually bred all this whole generation. Yeah. She does that. She hires the girl from next door, and she said, and for the price of her, she also gets her siblings. And they play with the kittens.
They play with the kittens. It's like so great. So you socialize them. And it's so funny. After like 45 minutes, he's just exhausted. Like just like sacks. Like, normally he would be kind of bothering Muka and jumping on her and kicking her and stuff. And now he's just like, oh. So she does it. And I'm always in the room with him. So I'm always working on my painting while she is playing with the cat. So she's also watching paintings being made and playing with the cat at the same time.
I'm gonna send you my birds. I don't think they're exactly right, but I'm hoping it will work.
I am sure that we can, if anything needs to be adjusted, it will be easy. Oh, they're darling. What are they?
I don't know. Diana gave me a picture. It's a friend of hers who took them.
Oh my God. Look at
they're gorgeous. They have a coloring. I love the coloring.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And okay. I love the contrast with the very neutral sky, water, and the wood, the old wood, weathered wood.
Any drawing issue is really tiny. So hold on. I'm looking quickly to see if I can identify it. You've got he's a little bit, you've got the guy in front standing up straight and his markings are leaning a little bit to the right. Can you see that? So that's the issue. He's a little bit, if you see here, I'm going to see if I can point it out. If you look at like this little dark bit around his neck.
I can't see you anymore.
Okay, hold on. If you look at this dark bit here, this shape, right, around the neck, it's a little bit slanted and you've made yours a little bit shorter and kind of more straight up.
So it should come down lower, you mean?
It should come down lower and look at the shape of the neck.
Thinner.
You've got it a little bit thinner. So just expand it out a little bit on this side. So yours kind of comes in a little bit like that. Just make sure you've got enough shape because it's his little neck coming out, right? That's that cylinder of his neck is coming out down here.
Right. I need that.
Yeah. I think that's the only, which means you might have to, so you need to also bring it down a little bit lower. Otherwise, it's perfect drawing.
Well, not really, but it will do.
It's in good, but it's in great shape. The legs look good. Yeah, it's just his body is a little bit short. The whole body here is a little bit short. You have this part kind of coming up. So yeah, just contain that neck. Just bring it down a little bit and then shape.
Thanks, Leah.
Yeah, it's good. Boy, those are just, I'm now mesmerized. I want to know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they are, but they're just
like an opposite or something. But not quite.
Yeah.
What did you call them?
Huh?
Avocet? But I don't think it is.
I don't know. Yeah. Actually, there's an easy way of finding out, actually. You can ask Google what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us do that. That's right. You can do a reverse Google search. So, all right. So has anybody found a gray that they like? Getting closer? Is anybody ready to go on to painting or talking about painting anyway? Let me do that because there's a little bit of materials that's important to talk about. So I'm going to keep
my green and red turned purple.
Well, what does that tell you?
Too much blue.
Maybe, maybe a little bit more yellow. Right? Yellow, because the yellow is the color that helps send things more to the gray. So it means your green was a little bit too blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit more, try a little yellow. All right. So as we're starting to talk about painting, let's talk a little bit about brushes. I don't like to get too dictatorial about brushes, but I will say, I will get a little dictatorial in one way. And that is that I want to make sure you're not working too small when you start laying down paint. That is the temptation to kind of grab a brush like, let's say this. Your temptation is to want to grab a brush this size when you're running and when you're trying to like start to paint. It is because you feel like you have more control. The problem is the brush cannot grab very much paint. And so it leaves a lot of drag marks, which you will find you really don't want to be there. So one of the things is to kind of work as big as you can. So just as a comparison, you're right, Sandra. See, now I've used the brush. It's like half a centimeter across. Now that I've not used this as a thing, I can use it as a measurement for brush sizes. If I use something like twice the size, so this is about 1 centimeter. No, I'm sorry, this is half an inch. This is 1/4 of an inch. So if I use a brush that's like kind of twice the size, I'm less likely to be making mark making. So I want you to pick, and I also tend to, I don't even like this brush very much. Let's see. What brush do I want? I want the brush. I have some drawing. Hold on, I'm gonna grab them. I like a flat brush. I'll show you what that is. Yeah. So I tend to like a flat brush. Something like this. Actually, this is a bright, you can see it's got kind of a slightly rounded top, but something that's flat as opposed to a pointed brush. Let's see if I can find some pointed brush examples. Here we go. Hold on. I rarely ever find myself in a position of wanting to use a brush like this. Can you see the difference? This is kind of a pointed brush. The flat brush covers more. It's also really great for doing edges. So if you want to like paint an edge and kind of get in, you can see, you can kind of line up your flat with the edge and come across like this. So you're gonna want a brush that's a little, but I'm not gonna like be too crazy about it. We just don't want little brushes like this. No little brushes. You want a bigger brush. Doesn't have to be huge. Bigger brush. Maybe I should start with this brush just to show you how big we can go. I also really love this kind of brush. It's really great for doing a lot of work with oil and acrylic. This freaks a lot of people out, but you will see it at points. It does some really amazing mark making. I'm not so worried about it today. Today we're doing very simple shapes. And let's see here. Nice, Tosh. Oh, I love your drips. So you can see Toshwina's already gone through the first layer of color. She's using water. So she's making kind of a watery layer. And she has kind of paid attention to her values. So her darkest areas, if you remember, those are the 5s here, are darker than everything else. Painting is done in layers. So our first layer, since you have very nicely Tosh demonstrated how it should look in acrylic, I will demonstrate how to do this with oil. So I'm going to dip my brush in Gamsol, so it's kind of wet. You'll notice her first layer is kind of transparent. And then, yeah, I'm going to pick like, let's see, I'm going to mix blue and orange. Let's try that. Blue and orange to make it kind of, it's looking kind of purple. That's a little yellow. No, it's a little less purple. Oh no, it's way too purple. I'm mixing kind of a darkish gray. Okay, more red there. I obviously need more blue. More blue up here. But I have this kind of runny layer. See, it's kind of runny. you'll see as it applies, it's kind of a runny layer. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then as I'm going around, oh yeah, that's nice, nice, beautiful color. You see this is actually a gorgeous black. As I'm going around, I'll start with the back of the back of the background, which is dark, which is a 5. Notice I'm taking my flat brush and kind of pulling back. See that? So I can get a little bit of control of my edges. I can do the same thing. I can pull up. So see how handy that flat is. Now I need a little bit more color. I need a little bit more Gamsol on my brush. I want my brush, when I'm using oil, same with acrylic, but acrylic will dry. With oil in particular, you want this to be a very wet layer.
Hey.
Hi, Diana. You made it. Did I hear you? Did I hear Diana? Oh, no.
No.
I thought I heard Diana.
These are called black-faced ibis, by the way.
Black-faced ibis. They are so lovely. I love that orange.
Yes, exactly. And I know exactly what color I'm going to use.
Nice. Okay. So you can see, and I'm even dripping a little bit. I actually kind of accidentally got into the sphere. So I'm wiping it off. So when you feel like you have a gray that you like that's fairly dark, which means it probably doesn't have any white in it or very little, you can go in and add that into your painting. I'm going to do that with my shadow as well. So I'm doing my darks first, because I know that my lights will just kind of naturally, automatically there we go. Darks there, and then dark up here. Right, this is the shadow that's on. Oops. I'm not so worried if one thing blends into another. I can fix this on my top layers. I'm also really not worried about going dark. Unlike watercolor, the finicky medium that Sandra is using, you can kind of layer light colors over dark. Right, so those are my darks. So if you want to, when you feel ready, when you've got a gray that you like, go ahead and lay it down just in the 5 areas where I've got them here. I keep leaning on this. Here, let me send you a picture so you can see. Picture. So that's why your ladies, your kiddies are always so well socialized. Is that right, Sandra? Just the little kids
yes,
that to play
actually,
with them?
They're very, very socialized compared to the ones that I had in England, the previous generation.
Really?
And I think that's because the English just kind of had them in a shed at the back of a garden.
Yeah, they don't learn how to be with people.
And so these guys, straight away, they lick your hands. They lick my hands all the time, which is almost annoying. Oh. But because I put hand cream and so on, so I don't want them to.
Right.
They're very socialized like that, yeah.
Well, I can even see Hermes is getting more socialized. It's like he's got to be taught how to play, right? With a person. Like he knows how to play with cats because he grew up with cats, but now he doesn't really have a cat that will play with him. So his choices are to like be able to play with people.
Actually, they like to play with people even more. And interestingly enough, I don't know, there was for a long time, I admired these shows by Cesar Millan, about he's like a dog whisperer.
Yes,
and the equivalent for cats, which is this guy called Jackson Galaxy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So for dogs, it seems to be that the healing thing is to walk. And for cats, it's to play.
It's to play. Doesn't that make sense though? It makes total sense
so.
When you think about it. Like
I think we probably think of more complicated things.
Right? Like it makes sense. I mean, cats have these like kind of crazy moments where they're all over playing, and they're not like runners the same way like a dog is. Like a dog just needs to walk and get tired and see everything.
They're hunters.
Yeah, they're hunters. So they're doing this sort of short, quick bursts. So Sandra, do your cats play with each other?
A bit, and I don't play with them enough.
Yes, well, you
and actually the dragon plays by himself. And he plays himself, I mean, like he leaps up in the air and everything.
How cute is that?
Dragon is the one you guys saw earlier. He's my youngest.
When Sandra first joined the class, she was doing these incredible pastels of her cats, close-ups of her cats' faces and everything. I don't know if you have any of those available, Sandra, but if you wanted to send a couple across, it would be lovely to see them. Oh. She's now tackling a different medium, and it is a totally different experience. Like it's a totally different way of approaching the subject.
It's almost starting from scratch, except that you can carry things across.
So Tosh, if you're ready, you can go ahead and start trying to do your blending, right? Go ahead, your lights, your mediums, your darks. I will demo for that for everybody else, but I don't think you need to wait. In the meantime, I'd like to see everybody else's, when you get to this point, either in acrylic or oil. And if you're not sure how to get to this point, please ask me. If there's anything you missed, you should try it. Let me know.
Okay, I'm sending you cats across.
Send me cats. Send us cats. So if you guys want to see, this is a pastel. It's a wonderful medium, very vibrant colors.
I must say, I'm going to go back to it, of course. I just want to watercolors.
I think you'll find, I think you should try combining them. Maybe watercolor base, pastels on top. Yes. So can you guys see these? These are what she was doing back at the beginning. They're wonderful. These are her kitties. Look at that. Look at that vibrancy. And you cannot beat pastels for vibrancy. There's nothing as vibrant as them.
And it's archival. I mean, it lasts like hundreds of years. I love that.
It does.
It's a bit messy though.
They're messy.
I mean, the pastels are messy.
Yeah, they are messy. They're very messy.
Because you get a lot of dust. I mean, although some of them have less dust than others.
Also, you need a lot. You need a lot.
A lot of colors, yeah, because you can't mix.
Right. You can, but like not as much as like they come pre-mixed. Yeah, we were talking about that in the class before this.
But I find when I get passionate about something, I tend to buy out anyway.
Yes, that is the way. That's exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about how one obsesses about getting every possible pastel, and then you still end up using the same like 10 or 15 colors.
I don't know. I have there's this French brand I really like called Giraud. I like them because they're like buttery soft, but not very dusty.
The Giraud are great.
And they're firm enough that you can do details. And I have I have 3 boxes, which I always chose them individually. One of them is just for coat colors, mostly my cats, like animal colors. One of them is neutrals. And the other one is just like blues and greens for eyes, because these guys have got blue-green eyes.
Oh, God, that's so fantastic. I love it. So how's it going, you guys? How's it going, everybody else? Is it going? If it's not going well, let me know. If it's going well, let me know. If you're struggling, or if you're just in the middle of it, you just carry on and ignore me.
Are we unmuted?
No.
Okay,
That's me. Oh, yes. My thing is
I could not get the gray mix. I just couldn't. So I went with going ahead and sticking with my black and white.
Okay, well, I'm going to have you practice this a bit. I may have you follow along with me. Let me try and show you a mix, because this is an important thing to get. And it's okay, Emily, that you don't get it right away, because for some it's very hard. It can be very challenging. So let's go through a mix together. I'm going to get a new palette paper, and I'd like you to find a clean place. Let's start over again. And you go with me. And the first thing I want you to do is, wait, here it is. I'm going to take this up. The first thing I'd like you to do is tell me which colors you're starting with. Read the names off the labels, and I'll join you. I'll use the colors.
I've got primary yellow.
Okay. Primary yellow.
I have cadmium red.
What do you have?
Cadmium.
Cadmium. Oh, I see the problem that you're having. Do you have any other reds?
I don't think so.
No reds, no crimson, no scarlet, no.
Let's see.
I've identified your problem already. It's cadmium red is the problem.
What's wrong with that red?
It makes browns. It is a red that is so brown. It's got so much yellow in it and orange in it that it makes a brown. It's real easy to make a brown. Let me show you the difference. Here is a cadmium red, right? It's a pretty color, don't get me wrong. It's really fantastic for putting like kind of finishing details on things. But look at the difference between this and the red I would like to use for mixing. Do you have any alizarin crimson?
Some what?
Crimson, alizarin crimson. Alizarin.
I've got Complementary red.
What have you got?
Well, this is really old.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we have?
Yeah.
We have alizarin crimson.
Excellent. So try using alizarin crimson. I'll get some too. Okay. So the main issue that you're having is that cadmium red is the worst red to try and mix with. Okay. It makes everything brown. It's a fantastic color to add on top of other things, but it's way too brown. So yeah, I knew we just had to walk through it. Hold on, let me get my, wait, maybe I do have alizarin crimson. Okay, yep, I have alizarin crimson right here.
Okay, and I've got all kinds of blues. I have a primary blue, I've got a Casalo blue, and I also have a ultramarine.
So try ultramarine blue. Try alizarin crimson.
All right.
And let's try, okay. So we're gonna start right here. I'm gonna start by mixing my purple. And since we've already learned that like red is really intense, I'm just going to take a kind of corner with my brush here and pull it aside, pull it here like this. And then I'm going to take a bit more blue and mix it in. Might go once or twice. I'm using my brush just because for expediency's sake. I'm mixing my blue in. I think you're going to like this purple. Oh yeah, you're going to be way happier. And I'll show you what alizarin crimson will, I'll show you what the cadmium red will do just as a counterpoint. So this is these two colors. I'll take them. Alizarin and ultramarine. Okay, let me show you what happens when I try to do this with cadmium red. I'll take a little cadmium red over here and blue. I get brown. I get, the more blue I add, the browner it gets. And if I really want to see that difference, I'm going to add a little white to each of them. So there's a purple with the alizarin. Here's a purple, yep, with the red, with cadmium red. It's just kind of browny. Can you see it? Even on here, you can see it. It makes a kind of muddy color. There we go. Let me do this.
Okay.
All right. See that? Look at the difference here. I'll send it across so you can see it. Now that I've got my purple with my alizarin crimson in it, I'm going to add just a touch of yellow. Just a tiny touch. And then I'm going to add white to it just to see how it kind of lightens up. And if it looks too, I don't know, I think it looks too purple to me. It still looks a little bit purple. I might add a little bit of blue in there. Not too much. Is that working a little better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's really, the problem was cadmium red. We're going to talk more about this next week. Cadmium red is a warm color and it has a definite function. There you go. So now you've got a gray.
All right, I see it now.
Yes.
How do you get the gray? So do you start with this color and then you grade it down, the value down?
So how do I make the value lighter?
Yes.
I add white. So we start with, right, this red and then blue. So here's the purple. And then I add white. And then when I want to mix the gray, I add in some yellow. But when I want to see what it looks like, because often you can't really see. So this is not a bad value right here. I added a little bit of white. There you go. Awesome. How is that? Do you have something you like better?
Yes.
All right. So now you can go over the top of what you've done with black you can go over the top with less water this time. So can you show me how your painting looks now before you paint anything else on it? Let me see that.
Sure. This I didn't use any water. I just kind of, I did.
Okay, so you want to definitely use water on these top layers, on these bottom layers, just to, it should look a little runny. But set it over so I can see it. Anyway, it's okay. We just layer colors on top. It's totally fine. Okay, excellent. So now I want you to use, that looks great, Emily. So now I want you to use a little bit more water. I'm using, can you see how watery this is?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want you to use a little bit more water as you add in your shadow dark. And I want you to use the gray that you just mixed. So use a little bit more water. It's okay if it drips a little bit. It's okay if it's a little bit. And then
to make of it.
You get these other darks in here. These are all darks. And then this is a great time to jump into the lighter darks. So I'm making sure I've got enough water or Gamsol on my brush. I want to do a kind of lighter value. I'm going to add a lot more water, white to my blue, to my mix, right? My gray mix. So that I can come in here, see, adding more water and more white to create something that's a little bit lighter. That's Sandra talking to her cats. They're super chatty. Right, so that's a kind of, notice this isn't as dark as this, but it's kind of like, so I just used the same pile of color that I mixed. I added more white to it. And same over here. I'll put that in here. And the same, let's see, here. And then also a little bit more white down here. So you can see we're basically following our value pattern. Very light, very runny. Except for the lights. I haven't put any paint down for the lights yet. It's okay that it looks kind of murky and murky. This is the first layer and it should look a little bit spotty. You don't want to try and get your, really it's just important to get paint on there. Joe, how's it going for you?
Well, I'm an impatient painter as well. And
did you jump ahead?
No, I just started out as too brown and then I added more blue, and which was pretty good. But now I've got different colors all over the place.
Okay, so try and like even that out. You want to send it over? So we can see where
I haven't really started on the subjects yet much.
Okay, then, okay, so right, all right, so carry on. Just keep working on your mixing. The mixing is going to become more intuitive and it's important to practice it. It really is. I know it's kind of, that's why we're like sticking with grays, and I'm not even really, this is kind of a purpley gray. I'm not even really limiting what kind of gray you use. I just want you to learn to mix one gray that you like. That's
really, I'm just kind of got different colors on that background.
Yeah, you want to push that more blue. But that's okay. Leave it for the next layer.
Yeah.
Your darks look pretty good. So now mix the mid-tone to get in here. So put more white in whatever you're mixing to make a kind of mid-tone. And make sure it's still pretty runny, right? Like it's still, so that it'll dry more quickly. But it looks good. It's looking better than you think.
How does that look?
That looks good. Your colors look a touch on the blue side. So
absolutely, I gave up.
What's that?
I was like, I got close and I was like, okay.
You got really close. So I would say on the top, on your top layers, mix in a little bit more orange, a little bit more. Oh, here's a question. Do you guys have burnt sienna?
Should.
You have burnt sienna or burnt umber?
Yeah, burnt sienna. Yep.
Burnt sienna. Try mixing ultramarine. Both of you can try this if you want to. Try mixing ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna functions like an orange. Even though it's kind of brownish, it functions like an orange. Try burnt sienna in ultramarine blue. Then try burnt umber in ultramarine blue. Those should make a kind of nice dark that you can lighten. Using the principle, it's funny, burnt sienna and burnt umber are warm browns that can function either as a red or as an orange, depending on like what you're mixing. So they often make a wonderful muddy brown. I like, anyway, coloring, the colors look great. The last step of this, of course, is to get an even lighter version for the lightest parts, right? So I'm adding even more white into my gray. I'm adding even more white into my gray. Oops, nope, that's way too dark. So I'm adding a lot of white. I want it, it could be darker than what's happening here, but I definitely want it to be lighter. Using a lot of water. So it's very liquidy. Looks kind of messy.
Hey, Leah, yours looks actually really gray. I guess there's a little blue in it. But
yeah, it's
mine, as always, I always get basically some kind of lavender pink weird.
Then you know to put more yellow in.
Because everything I've ever done has just turned kind of muddy.
Well, it's just a practice thing, right? That's why we're practicing it. And notice things are pretty messy. These are still pretty messy. I'm using a very big brush. I don't have a lot of control. But here's kind of how everything's a little bit darker on the light side. I'm going to have to go lighter as I go over the top. That's okay.
Leah?
Yes.
The sky, when it's further away, is lighter or darker? When it's higher up?
When it's higher up, it gets a little bit darker.
Thank you.
Yes.
I can never remember.
And a little bit more bluish.
Oh, good.
That makes sense.
What are the values? Can you remind? Oh, I guess it's in the chat.
Yeah, let me put it up to the front so you can see it. Here, hold on. Send it across. The values are, where's my, oh yeah, we lose it, it goes too far. Here it is. Going up to the front. There it is. You'll notice that my light is a little bit darker.
So there's only 2 spots that are 3. There's 1 spot that's 4.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Excellent. Here, I'm trying to sort of highlight out my 3 here. I think you can see it pretty well. Here. And then we're going to talk about kind of cleaning up the top layers.
What's the value if you're looking at the cube and it's off to the right between the 2 sides, that little sliver off to the right?
A little sliver off to the right.
It's the cube, but it's not on the cube, it's on the wall. Yeah, what's that value?
This one? Oh, this little dark, that's like a 5. Good observation. I didn't even see that. Yep, that's a 5. So it's like 5, 1, maybe 5, 2, 5.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Good eye. Once you start looking for it, you can't really miss it, can you? It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I didn't worry about that one, but you could, if you can see it, put it in there. Nice work, you guys.
Yeah, the gray that put a little bit in the gray.
And this is a really good time to kind of step back and go, maybe even if Anne was here, one of our other new students, she'd be like, let's take a little break. Can I take a break? 5-minute break. We've been working pretty hard for about 11:30, 12:30, hour and a half. We're about halfway through class. I'm going to send this over so you can see. And I want you to see how kind of messy this first layer is. I'm not so worried about this being kind of a perfect painting. I more just want the values to be intact. I'll be right back, you guys. So when you think you've got it all covered with paint, send it over. If you're having trouble, let me know. Emily, how is that new color treating you? Like so much better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just remember, cadmium red is the enemy of gray. It's the best way to think about it.
That's
there are uses
crazy.
for cadmium red. Sandra, how goes it?
Oof. I kind of made a sky, but you know, it's difficult to make these washes. It kind of looks like this.
Oh, that's coming along nicely. I know what you mean, though. It's hard to control the washes. But I appreciate that you're doing it. Nice, Tosh.
But it's sometimes I don't do a background, but in this case, it's part of what I like about this.
Right. Tosh, is this layer 2?
Yeah. So what's
okay? Not bad.
Is there any glazing?
Huh?
we glazing today?
Yeah, why don't you let it dry, glaze it a different color, and start adding colors on top?
Whoa, okay. Whoa. Yeah, sounds good.
If you want to. You don't have to. Next week, I wanted to talk about mixing shadows for various colors. So we will actually paint a still life with a yellow, a red, and a blue object, just so we can, you know, practice mixing the shadows. You can try that.
A while, but the red is.
Hi, I'm back. I'm sorry, my battery died as soon as you told me to do more.
It was like, it's up to you. I mean, you don't have to do anything more. But what I see about this painting now, if I was going to finish this, right, you'd kind of want to clean up your mark making. Mm-hmm. So there's not too much of this kind of going over the edge, right? You can see a lot of it here now. So you want to kind of smooth things out a little bit. And I don't know, I just feel like try glazing it like, I don't know, burnt sienna or bright hot pink, and then adding some color on top of that. It'll look amazing. Okay. John and Emily, how are you doing over there? We getting there?
I have a quick question. I ran out of color, so I made some more, and my gray is a little too brown. What do I need to add?
Okay, try adding a little bit of blue and white to see how it looks, right? Try adding a little bit more blue. Did that help?
Yeah.
The burnt sienna trick.
It's helpful, right? And even burnt umber is even better because that makes this luscious, warm black.
Oh, maybe I used the burnt umber. I can't remember.
Yeah. Try that as well. So that's like a really helpful.
It turned out this is
that's looking really cool, John. I love it. All right. Already, it's looking good. All right, so now let's talk about, I think you're ready for me to sort of demonstrate the kind of top layers. So as you're going in with paint, you're now going to be using, you're not really going to be using water or Gamsol. You're going to be working on what's called the difference between hard and soft edges in painting, which is basically like the knit and purl of painting. So let me talk a little bit about that. A hard edge is like an edge, a real full stop, where there's a real full stop line. between a darker area and a lighter area. So a hard edge is kind of here, right? That's a pretty strong hard edge. The edge between the top of the cube and the background, that's a hard edge. So as you're going over with the top layers, here I'll be mixing some gray and going over. Oh, Emily, makes it feel better. My current gray is looking crappy and way too brown, way too green. I don't think I have enough blue. There we go. I think that's pretty good shape. So as I come back over, a hard edge is right like this kind of edge. So what I'm wanting to do is notice how I'm kind of cleaning up with my next layer of color over the top. So I'm working, here's another hard edge. So I've got a lot of color on my brush. You can kind of see it. Whoops, that's not helpful. Pull that off, right? I'm pulling back so I can really see this strong delineation of shape starting to come out. However, a lot of the transitions from one layer to the next on the inner areas are what we call soft edges. That's a little bit more challenging. So with a soft edge, you've got to get light. You've got to get both sides wet. So here I am. I'm just using basic paint here, right? No water or anything, just paint. I'm adding in some light on the light side. This edge looks too hard for what's actually happening here. So I'm going to take a little bit of medium right? And getting that dark. And then I'm going to take more light and I'm going to brush the light into the dark. So there's a transition, but it's not, the line is not so hard. You see the difference? Actually, what's really nice about this technique is that I'm actually creating, there are 3 values here. It's like 1, 2, 3 to 4. So I'm actually creating my 2 by blending with the darker color, by doing what's called this soft edge. So I'm kind of like taking light so you can see it, and then softly brushing it in. Now, this is what you're going to spend the rest of your class time doing. Guys, that is just frankly what's going to happen, because this is the real, do you remember the Karate Kid? The original one with Ralph Macchio in it, Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi's like, when I teach you how to fight, you are going to wash on off. He makes him wash his car. This is like the wax on, wax the car, right? He has to wax the car. This is the wax on, wax off. You're going to be going back and forth to kind of try and create an edge that's not as hard as this edge. Sometimes, now with these guys, with the cubes, you don't have to do that, but definitely this is also going to be happening with your cylinders on the side here. So for those of you using acrylic, you're going to get a little bit frustrated because acrylic dries fast, and it really helps when both sides are a little bit wet. So you see how I'm almost tapping? Then I'm cleaning up my brush because it's easy to get kind of, get myself some more white here. It's easy to get sort of, as you start to do this, it's easy to get dark into your light area. So you want to make sure it's light enough, right? That there's a transition, that we're going from light Thank Mr. Miyagi.
Hard topics.
And this is like, we practiced this last week. So John and Emily, let it just be as difficult as it needs to be in terms of, this is like it. Like there's really nothing else to painting other than getting hard and soft edges. So if you don't get it right away, that is totally fine. Try practicing it. See how I'm almost tapping the brush rather than painting across. If I want a hard edge, I will, like over here, I will make a long solid line, right? That's what I want. But, and here too. If I want a hard edge, I'm going to do that. Or more importantly, I'm going to be pulling away, right? And making this really strong line between the two things. The cube is like that. And the cube shadow is like that. And the shadows are like that. But for the softness of the rounded objects, it's going to help. Right now, I feel like that's a little bit too hard. So I'm tapping it over. See? I'm loading my brush with a little bit of light. And I'm tapping over the edge. If I want to get really fancy, you don't really see it in this sketch, but I can put a little white, get a whole bunch of white and put a little white circle here, which is kind of the highlights. And I remember there's a little light edge. So it's wax on. There we go. Definitely there's a nice transition from light to medium to dark. These are hard edges. The cube edges. So I can kind of work around them a little bit more. I can also see that this light of the front cube is lighter than the top of the cylinder. I'll send that over to show you in a second. maybe I should move my palette so you guys can actually see. I'll put the source back up so you guys can see it next to it. But let me just do a little bit of edging work here. There is a couple of reasons that this exercise might be a little bit more frustrating than normal. So I want to emphasize that that's also happening. It's because we're not super vested in the finishing, right? Like we're not being particularly rewarded because the shapes are so simple. So if you find yourself like going, part of the design of this is, you'll realize, is it's kind of leads you to be a little bit more frustrated because the final product isn't so, we're so excited about it, right? That's one of the reasons we're willing to work hard in a painting as we start to see progress. So let it be okay if you're just noticing, oh my God, this is just all impossible and not any fun or whatever. Not like that, but you know what I mean. There's a higher frustration level. That's because we're not as vested in the end result. So
because it's an exercise, you mean?
Yeah, because you know, like you're kind of motivated, Sandra, to do your birds, right? Because they're like, because they're cute, and the more it looks like a bird, the more you're like, this is awesome.
Hopefully they're getting better and better. Hopefully,
right? So these exercises are not really like that. They're a little bit more like, at some point you're just going to get tired of them, which is okay. So the advantage to that is that we're not so caught up in the final product and we're more just practicing. I guess I'm just trying to like let you know, as you're going through and experiencing some frustration, this is very natural. It's in the design, and letting go of the final product will be good. Let's see.
Does it look like wood? Does it read like wood? Oh, I'm just showing you on the screen without sending a picture.
I like it here. Hold on, I'm going to pop it up. Do you mind if I pop it up for just a second?
No, I'll pop it up.
Oh yeah, I think that's what's nice is that what you may want to do, Sandra, is do a little bit of a darker edge with a sharper, skiddier brush, right, on the wood, just to define it as sharper from the water. But yeah, that's what's nice about that medium that you're using. It's so like expressive. Right?
Hopefully, it's
I mean, it's less controllable. I guess, like, but you know, sometimes that means you wind up with something better. And other times, wait, what did you miss glazing? You missed glaze? You didn't miss glaze, Tosh. There's no such thing as misglazing.
No, I mean, I missed it. I haven't.
Oh, you missed it. You missed doing it. It's like, I didn't miss glaze. That looks perfect.
It was like all of a sudden it was like something else.
Right? It's so great. Yes. Glazing is wonderful. We will introduce that in more next week. Maybe we'll do it with Emily and John, depending on how far you go. We might do that with you as well. We might have you do a glaze, but I wouldn't worry about it. Just wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, because the kid feels completely cheated at the beginning.
Right? He totally did, but then that was the move.
Yeah, but develop the right muscles and the move. Yeah.
I think we're all old enough. Maybe Emily and John are not old enough to remember this. You guys might not be old enough to remember this.
Yes, we are.
It's so funny because when you go back and look at the movie, it doesn't really hold up. It's not really a thing that like holds up. And by the way, I'm going to move my paint palette so you guys can see if I can make this work. It's kind of dumber than I remember it being. But that part of it, here we go. Oh, high enough. Okay, let me see. There we go. Well, you guys are lucky. I was going to give you this one. But I thought we should focus on basics today. I think I gave that one to Tosh the other day. I'll start working on this a little bit more, but I want to let you have this sort of experience of comparing.
All right, I just sent you where I'm at.
Okay, let's see.
You're like,
actually, that's not that bad. Your values are good. So the hardest, your line is very hard here and here.
yeah.
So work on, get both sides wet with what light and dark, right? Darken one side, lighten one side, and then try brushing some of the light into the dark. Everything else looks great. Your values look great. I might even, Emily, have you do what Tashwina is doing and add a little color just for fun. But let's have you work on that soft edge just a little bit longer. It's coming better than you think. And Joe, go ahead and send it across when you're ready. Oh yeah, coming along. So Joe, you've just got those hard edges there. Now you need to make them soft.
And I haven't done any light. I haven't done the number 1 and 2 colors yet.
Oh, there you go. That's why. Okay.
And
more so.
Unfortunately, I kind of gave up on gray and had to go with brown.
Yeah. All right.
So
we'll have you. This is a continuing work in progress for you.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of working on gray and trying to mix it in on the canvas, but
that's okay. Do what you can. What colors are you using?
Well, you know, that's another really frustrating thing is my palette has gotten out of control.
All right, so what colors are you using?
Well, I've got mostly yellow, blue, and red is what I'm using here.
No. What colors are you using? What specific colors are you using? What specific blue?
Green and red.
No, what specific colors are you using?
Names of pigments.
The names of your primaries.
Cadmium yellow, medium, ultramarine blue, and crimson.
Alizarin crimson. So you're using.
Oh no, quinacridone red.
Quinacridone red. Okay, that should be working pretty well. I wonder if you should use. Do you have a cad yellow light?
Yeah.
Try switching out yellow or even a yellow. So try two things. Try your red green mix with cad yellow light, and then try it with ochre as the yellow.
Okay.
Try both of those. Give yourself another space. Yeah.
New mixes, right?
Yeah, I think the cad yellow medium is the thing that's kind of going out of control for you. So here's another lesson, like cad yellow, the cad colors, not fantastic for mixing. Grays.
Okay.
Better for doing bright things, but not fantastic for mixing grays. So try yellow ochre. Try try Cad Light or even a lemon yellow. Try that.
Okay.
So remember, we kind of problem solved for Emily by removing Cad Red from the equation.
So are Cad colors cooler then?
Cad colors are warmer, so they make browns.
And when you did the medium and what colors were you using when you did the medium and light yellows?
I used a lemon yellow.
Okay.
And then, or Cad Yellow Light, I think either one would do, but lemon yellow is probably better. And then I was suggesting you might try an ochre.
Yeah, okay.
Which might, maybe make things go more brown, but might actually mix in a better way. Ugh. Right? Wait, who went, ugh, was that you, Sandra?
Yes.
Okay.
Something splashed in my face.
Okay, good. Nothing bad on the painting though.
Okay. Well, look, this is as good as this wood gets. I can't seem to get it more like wood. I guess I don't have much practice.
Oh, I like it. It's coming. It's coming. Definitely. When you get your birds in, they will start to feel, right?
Because like, then you won't look at the wood so much.
Right. Right. Right now, the wood is the thing that's the most dominant because the birds are not in.
So if we want to add color, should we?
Yeah. Do you want to add color?
I don't know.
You could keep going with more gray just to keep trying to work these edges here. I'd like to see softer edges for you, Emily, here and here. Once you got that, we'll talk about adding color. I'll help you. I'll make a couple of, if you're really, you guys seem really open to just doing whatever. So I'm like, I'll show you about glazing, which is a pretty neat thing. Apparently so neat, Toshween missed it when she hasn't done it. It's a really neat process. I'll help you add a little bit of color, but start by really making your edges soft on those rounded objects. This is a lot back and forth, a lot of back and forth.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Right? Let's see. Oops.
Oh, wow.
Were you looking at what Toshween did?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it is really neat. Yeah, she added, so Tosh, you're getting a little bit, so remember, you need more purple in the yellow mix for your yellow sphere there, for the dark sides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need to add a touch of purple in that yellow.
Yeah, I didn't add any purple. So
yeah. Yeah, you can totally, you guys can do that too if you feel like it. But work on your edges a little bit more and then we'll have plenty of time. I mean, this is a most classes are 2 hours, but this class is always 3. Just because I sometimes think it takes that long to get into something. Also, it's Sunday, feels like we can go a little bit slower, take our time. I'll be right back. I'll work on this a little bit more too. I'm always happy to keep demoing. So feel free to ask me to show you anything. It's okay if down here where the spear, comes up to the edge of the spear, and then there's this other shadow on top. If you kind of lose sight of the edge here, that's absolutely okay. I lost my ground. I'm putting it back in. Easy to kind of lose things. So while those of you using acrylic might have been a little frustrated by the process of all the fact that you have to keep remixing color, right? Things dry awfully fast. If you're wanting to add more layers and more colors, you're in a much better position than those of us using oil, because our paints are not going to go. Oh yeah, nice, very nice, nice, nice. All right, so you want to try something really crazy, Emily?
Yeah.
Right. So what color have you got there? All right, I want you to tell me what color just on its own appeals to you more than any of, which color appeals to you the most that's laying in front of you? Just not the gray, but
I like the crimson. I like that.
Excellent. Okay, so let me see if I can demonstrate this. Is this done in oil? Yep, this is done in oil. Okay, so you're going to take some crimson. This is a painting I did last week. I can't for the life of me remember whether it was acrylic or oil.
I think it was the Wednesday night class.
This is Wednesday?
Yeah, like the dry.
Oh, you're right. This is acrylic. Okay, so let me get some acrylics so I can show you. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. I can't even remember.
You're welcome.
What is what. Okay, so let me get some acrylic paints, and then I'm going to show you something really cool. All right. So I am actually having to switch over to totally different. This is my water-based paints, so my acrylic paints. I was working with acrylic this morning, so I happened to have them out. And where can I put? I'm just going to pop a little bit of color in here at the top in the corner. Don't do this, Emily. I don't want you to put the color in the corner. I just don't happen to have a palette paper handy right now. So you're going to take a real big brush. You're going to get it very, very wet with water, like I'm doing. And then you're going to take some of this color. So see how wet it is and how little, there's no like glops of paint on my brush. And you're going to go over your whole painting like this. It's almost like putting a sepia, like a filter on your picture.
Should I make sure it's dry? Because I sprayed it a little bit.
Yeah, make sure it's dry. Make sure it's dry. So when it's completely dry, yeah, if you glaze it and it's not dry,
all right, I'll try that.
yeah, do go over the whole painting. Mine is like kind of dripping a little bit because which I like, but you don't need to have that. It's just because it's on a slanted table. Yours, if as long as yours is straight up or flat down, it should not be doing that. So just what the key is, a lot of water. The key is big brush and a lot of water. Big brush and so much water. So much water. Huh?
I have a brush. I don't have a brush quite like that. I've got this brush.
Yeah, that'll work.
Is that big?
Yeah, no. You'll do it in like 3 swipes. So the key is that the layer, so glazing means I'm adding a transparent layer of color on top, right? So everything has now been made transparent because I'm using a lot of water and very little paint. Just enough to make this watery layer.
All right, I'll have to take a break because I sprayed it with some water.
Yeah, take a break. Get yourself some coffee or tea or wine. But it looks really, I'm very happy with this. I think this is a really great first effort. Nice, Tosh. Yep. Nice. Kind of be careful. Work the back, the shadows of the orange cylinder, the red cylinder.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit, it's looking a little bit pushed back. You know what I mean? Sort of watery.
Okay.
Make that a little more vibrant. Nice. Yes, after doing this lesson 25 times, a million times, how does it feel, Tosh? Like getting to the end of a week of painting spheres in grays?
It's still hard.
It's still hard. Okay.
But like satisfying.
But satisfying. Yeah. I promise I'll move us into like sort of more complex objects, but you'll see that like much of what we paint is kind of made up into these. I was thinking, Sandra, how much the neck of that front bird is like a cylinder, right?
Oh, right.
Kind of gets a little thicker and then a slightly thinner cylinder on top. We are definitely going to post this lesson because I couldn't really post the earlier painting lessons this week since the bandwidth was so bad, since the thing was so bad. My Zoom.
Leah, would you mind showing the cylinder again, how you would tap?
Yep.
I think I'm struggling with that area.
Yep. How about tap? Let's see. That's it. I'm just trying to think. How do you, sometimes you just do it and you don't really know what you're doing here. So I'm working with oil, of course, but similar process. So I'm getting a bit of dark here, right? So it's dark enough. And then I'm loading some light on the light side like this. Now I'm brushing light into dark. And once I've done that about 3 times, I'm going to need to get more light.
Okay.
Right? See how I'm you definitely want, it's just like the sphere, really. And then there is a little light edge, little reflected edge. Go back in if I want to make sure. I want to make sure there's a transition, but it's very clear. I'm losing mine a little bit, if you can see. I know you're having that same trouble, so if it makes you feel better, I'm definitely go a little bit darker than you think you should at the beginning. What you're really wanting is that between your light and your dark, there's a kind of medium. You're building almost a new area, medium. So it's darker than what's on the left, but lighter than what's on the right. It's tricky. It's because you can't like see the whole cylinder, right? Part of the shadow is hid behind, the bottom is hid behind this cube in the front. So it's a little bit maybe more difficult to see than the sphere, which is in the very front. You can see the whole thing. There we go. Then there we go.
I think I was also using the wrong brush. I think I was using too small of a brush.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's almost always true, right? Helps to have a bigger brush. It's funny, that smaller brush gives us the illusion of control. But we don't really have it with the smaller brush. Once you get used to the larger brush, you realize it can do things for you that the smaller brush just simply cannot. I'm kind of working on the sphere here too. Okay. So Emily, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and, when your painting is dry, you can go ahead and glaze. And then you can go over with some top colors like Kashwina's done. If you want to, just take the colors that she, copy the 2 colors that she's got in there. You're going to be doing the same thing. You'll be doing this soft edge on your rounded objects. But if you're feeling like you want to add some more color, it'll look really nice.
Hey guys.
Hi,
Hey.
Diana.
Yeah.
How goes the deck? I'm assuming that's what you're working on, right?
The deck goes well. I'm working with press club stuff too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, your Charlie painting turned out really well.
Thank you. I started with a Lucia, but I've just done the sketch.
Let's see, Lucia.
No, it's not Lucia. I started with Sunny. I'm sorry.
You started with Sunny. What?
Yeah.
We won't tell Sunny you said Lucia instead of Sunny.
Yeah, so it's
probably the same person. So
it's
they are, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely, Sandra. Absolutely.
It's a mate to the other one. It's for my friend that's moving back to Sweden. So I sent you the sketch I have.
For Annika?
No. Anne-Marie. Yeah.
Okay.
Anne-Marie that lives with us.
Oh, that's looking great. I love it.
But it's just a sketch.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Very rough sketch.
I'm glad you joined us, even if just for half an hour.
Yeah, me too.
Well, particularly as I'm doing your birds, Diane.
Yeah.
They are cool.
They
are really gorgeous.
I think I'm doing
birds.
them justice, but they are very beautiful.
They're really beautiful. Magic.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes you can take your finger and kind of soften an edge a little bit if both sides are still wet. Sometimes the finger, but then you have oil paint on your finger, or acrylic paint on your finger. It can be kind of messy.
Are you doing watercolor, Sandra?
Yeah, look, I'll show you where I'm at.
Here. Oh, Sandra, it's looking great. Do you see the moment you started to add the bird? Here, hold on, hold that up.
It's beautiful.
Really, it doesn't look beautiful to me, but
yeah, it's just because you haven't got the bright colors in yet. You're doing the darks first. It's coming. It's coming. I want you to think about how it looked just before you got the birds in, any bird markings. It's coming.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Trust the process.
Look, let me show you the snow before it gets too dark.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm moving in the wrong place.
Here, hold on. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh, I'm so happy I'm not there.
I just managed to clear the snow off a deck and I have to start all over again. Turn to ice.
That's my question. Are you fixing your deck because it's 80 degrees outside?
She's fixing her deck because it's 80 degrees. She's in LA.
Yeah.
All right,
yes,
Josh,
that's right.
looking
No,
better.
nobody else.
Looking better.
I'm going to take a picture for you and show you my new deck. It's messy, but.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Leah. I think I'm going to sign off if that's okay.
That's totally fine. You've had plenty of practice this week.
Yeah.
You've done good.
It's funny because I usually paint in the sunroom, but it's so cold right now. It's the opposite of what's going on with Diana. So I'm like,
you're probably going to get my snow.
You're probably getting the snow that is happening.
It was like 20 degrees all day today. So like the room was like 30. So that's why I've been like on the ground. So now I'm just like, I gotta get up.
I got you. All right. We'll see you. If you feel like joining tomorrow, you're welcome.
I think maybe the day after tomorrow. So maybe I will.
If you feel
it was
like
great meeting everyone.
Nice to see you, sweetie. We'll see you soon. The rest of you've got about 15 minutes. So keep kind of working. See as far as you can get. John, why don't you send where you're at?
Well,
yeah. Send it. It's can you hold it up? Can you yeah, oh hey, nice soft edge. Hold on a second. I'm adding the spotlight. That is some nice soft edges. Very nice. So yeah, just get rid of the little lights, right? You can get harder with your and don't forget there's a little light shape right here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead with white, sort of lighter gray, right? And shape that back in. It should kind of line up with what's happening over here. Oh, and actually what I see you've got going on here is you brought the dark up a little too high. Here, hold on, I'll point.
Okay.
So you have your dark up here. So you could bring your dark down here a little bit and then take some light over here, kind of lined up on the other side. That would be a great last thing to do.
Okay, great.
Emily, have you managed to, has it dried yet?
I think so, but I'm really scared to do this.
All right, then wait another 5 minutes. Wait another 5 minutes. Oh, Diana, that's looking awesome. Wow.
It's super messy because everything is everywhere. But
right. But you're building it.
Now it's a 3-room deck.
That's amazing. How ambitious.
Wow.
How ambitious. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Look at that. Your guy is doing great work.
Yeah.
Look at that. It looks like the sun.
Beautiful wood.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And look at the pattern. It's lovely.
Yeah.
You're just so you've got, on the one hand, we have Sandra's backyard, which is full of snow. We have, on the other hand, Diana's backyard, which is, I don't know what, 75, 80 degrees.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to show you a Portland backyard. It's right in between you two. Here, hold on. It's just kind of great.
So I'm thinking that my new deck, which is under the palm trees and under another tree, will be a perfect little painting studio, outdoor painting studio.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God,
Nice.
yes. Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. Yes. Congratulations. It's so exciting when you get these things done.
Yeah, but it's almost like you have to mortgage your house to buy lumber these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I hope the price gets back to normal. But
so John and Emily, how'd you like it? Not bad. I think you guys did great for a first class.
Yes, we're really liking it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You come and join us anytime. We're here every Sunday.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
I sent you the pic.
Oh yeah, Emily, that looks great. Okay, so now very quickly, take any color that you want and white, and you can put colors on. You can put colors on top, so you can continue if you want to. You can continue to layer on top with more color, but go to color this time rather than gray. So if you want to, like, I don't know, make this yellow, you can make this yellow a little bit darker here, a little bit lighter. Look at how neat.
What palette, like, was this crimson, or what was it? It was the
alizarin crimson.
Alizarin crimson. What palette colors do you think would work with that color?
Anything would work good on this. Anything would work good on top of this. Try putting any color that you like.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you get to just play with this and add whatever colors you want. Now you kind of know how light works, right? You know a bit about soft edges. You can put yellows or reds or blues or green, whatever you want on your top layers. You will see that they look, as long as you kind of maintain your values, your light dark ratios. So you'll see that the glaze kind of neutralized things a little bit. It made your lighter things darker so that they look a little bit, there's a little bit less definition between light, medium, and dark. So you can go back and add that, but you will see it makes an absolutely, so what you have is a beautiful base for adding color. I'm almost tempted to say we should just all keep working on these next week to add color to them, or you can just play with them anyway, you can do whatever you want with this now. You can add any color you want. And I would just say play and have fun.
Next week, unfortunately, John's working and I'm seeing my daughter up in Seattle. So we'll have to figure it out. But so then just play with this idea. Add any colors you want now. Anything. Now you have a great base. However more you layer on top, it's going to look great. That was really fun. Oh, good. I'm so glad you joined us. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know when you're ready to jump in again. Huh?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, but we've got a little bit more time. We got 10 more minutes. So.
Yeah, I put up paint on my.
Do it. We'll hang out. Joe's still working over there. Joe, where are you at in the process?
I'm basically kind of blending in the soft edges now.
Okay.
So getting close.
Getting close. All right. In 5 or 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, work for 10 minutes and then send over.
All right.
Nice.
By the way, did you guys see this spectacular volcanic eruption on Tonga?
Oh my God.
The tsunami, the one from the satellite. It's amazing.
So crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy.
I once fantasized about working in Tonga.
Really?
I looked at that when I was a journalist. I actually looked. They have a newspaper. I was like, are they hiring? Can you imagine being a reporter on the Isle of Tonga? How fun would that be?
Actually, there's a video from a reporter that made it out before they lost internet and power. And it just shows the tsunami on lower ground.
Right.
That thing, basically, she's really worried about these people.
Of course, yeah.
So we do have, I mean, I guess
they have them. Yeah, there are definitely people who are working there.
Yeah. That's what it looks like now. I haven't darkened all the colors yet.
Let's see. Pop it up.
Oh, look.
Oh, yeah. See how much like more you just needed those oranges in to play with the yellows, to start layering in you totally needed that. Now it's going to be so fun. I love the look of those birds. They're so adorable.
Bennett, I'm not really doing them justice, but they look amazing. Oh, by the way, Diana, I looked them up. They look to be called black-faced ibis.
Black-faced
ibis.
Ibis. I love it.
These are Nick's birds?
Yeah.
Great.
They are from Chile.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Sandra, I'm going to do 2 classes on Monday and Tuesday tomorrow, so, if you feel like jumping in.
I definitely want to jump in. I don't know whether I'm going to manage to wake up tomorrow, but I've put my alarm
Okay, and I decided to do one an hour earlier just because Rashmi is dying over there. So like I figured we would just do one. So tomorrow I'll send a note across now, but tomorrow's will start at 10 a.m. your time, 7 a.m. mine, and the next day will be the normal.
Then I might be able to.
Yeah. So jump in tomorrow, Diana.
Yeah,
I'll send a note across now.
Yeah, that I think might be doable for me.
Okay, let me actually send a note. Let's see, it's Friday painting class.
Have to close the blinds, it's night.
So crazy. It's amazing how the time passes.
Yeah.
Do you have a regular Monday class?
I don't. So what happened was I was at the coast on Wednesday through Friday, and the internet was so bad I couldn't teach classes. So I'm rescheduling the Friday class. I managed to get something done in Wednesday and Thursday, but like by Friday it was absolutely terrible. So I just rescheduled a class for tomorrow. I'll send you guys the note as well if you feel like jumping in.
So you missed the tsunami, huh?
By 1 day. Oh, it totally would have taken us to, I'm telling you, we were like right there on the beach, which was really epic when it's no tsunami, but I'll tell you, what a way to go. The Oregon coast is not messing around. Washington coast as well.
Did they have any damages, or did it get up to the house?
No, I don't think it got up to the house. I mean, we had left the house by that time, at the time it came on.
What did you say? What did you say, Leah? I missed it.
I don't think it got up to the house. I don't think it got up to the house.
I think it was very low by the time. But you know, I saw a video from Peru where they found at least 2 bodies, and it was fairly significant. I mean, in that, you know, it comes. I can't remember the name of the town. I saw it on Reuters.com. It's, you know, it's a town where you have like a street by the seaside, and the water definitely comes on top of the street, washes away cars.
Emily, that was fantastic and very fast.
That's John.
Oh, John. Okay, I was going to say that was really fast. Good job. So what did you guys learn from this? What would you say?
Oh gosh, so much. I love the values. That to me, you know, the value part. I think that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Getting the darks and the lights. Yep. You guys did great. You did really, really, really well. Okay. Well, nice work, everybody. I'm hanging out for about 5 or 10 more minutes.
Okay.
So...
I'm hanging out with you.
Yes, that's what I thought. That's why I'm holding it.
Thank you.
And Sandra's kind of at a point with her place, with her painting, where it would be good if she had another 10 minutes or so.
Yes.
So, John and Emily, thank you so much. You did great. Also, I think, Joe, you guys can continue to hang out, or you can jump out, whatever you want to do.
I think we're
good.
We're good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Maybe you can stop the recording now.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, I can totally stop the recording now.